So I do research on connections between literature and science. And there's an assumption today that literature and science are two cultures, completely separate. You see this in the modern design of a university campus, right? Physics and botany and chemistry are in one building, and we in English are here with other languages and arts. So one of the courses that I teach is early science fiction, written between the years about 1630 and 1830. And one of the things that we look at in that class is this assumption, right, that science does fact and that literature does fiction. Certainly we do read fictional texts, but another thing that we do in this department is look at the history of how fact became fact, how fiction became fiction, and the relation between the two. In 1791, you get Erasmus Darwin publishing The Loves of the Plants. And this is both a serious botanical treatise about Linnaeus and Linnaean botany and the sexual differences between plants, and also a poem. He wrote it in heroic couplets, and it has both this aesthetic and this real scientific value. And there wasn't an assumption in 1791 that you couldn't write a scientific treatise in verse as a poem. That was absolutely possible. And you also get that happening earlier in the 1650s and 1660s. You have Margaret Cavendish, who was one of the first ever women to participate in the Royal Society. And she's actually writing poems and fancies that aren't just fictional, but also explore real factual problems related to contemporary science. I mean, we're living in a period of time right now where we have a lot of talk about alternative facts and what counts as fact and the end of fact. And this all has a history, right? What we now in 2017 consider as science fiction or science fact has a history, and there are certain rhetorical and literary features that determine what counts as truth and what counts as lies. And so one of the exciting things we can do in English departments is to figure out how we got here today and look at the history of how that division between science fact and science fiction actually worked.